Año Nuevo. Los mismos Extra Value Meals en McDonald's. Ahora te puedes llevar 2 snack wraps y papitas y una bebida mediana por solo $8. Solo por tiempo limitado. Precios y participación pueden variar. Los precios pueden ser más altos en Hawái, Alaska y California y con entrega.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Visit Blinds.com now for up to 45% off site-wide, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions apply.
Why don't you guys tell me my mic goes all the way over there? That first half of the this episode is gonna suck. Sorry, everybody who's listening. Terrible. Do I sound better now? Can you guys hear me better now? Please let me know. So the gist is that, to answer you, Skeeter, I'm not 100% sure as to how quantum entanglement would work on the level of parallel worlds. There is quite a bit out there saying or theorizing that it is duly possible. For one, I believe our guest from a while back on the simulation theory episode, part 2, Rizwan Virk, we discussed that a little bit. And it is his belief that yes, particles can be entangled across the multiverse. And that might be a big part of the quantum technology needed for this quantum chip in order to pull power and computation capabilities from other chips. But basically, it's like 10 quadrillion or even more than that, septillion, it looks like 10 septillion years in order for other supercomputers to do the same task that this Willow chip did in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's just nuts. And 10 septillion years, that's older than the current estimates of how old our universe is. It's phenomenal. All right, we're gonna break off from there because I lack some knowledge on it, but I wanted to bring that to you guys' attention because I thought it was absolutely phenomenal and super interesting. Again, if you're listening, sorry about the mic issue. Sometimes I just space out. Let's talk about drones. Now, a lot has happened, and I've been taking some notes on pad and paper, which is something I haven't done in a very long time. But some things to talk about here. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about, and just to kind of be open and clear about this, I'm trying not to regurgitate information that we talked about during the last lunch break because I want to make sure that these stay fresh. So hopefully all of this is new. I've talked about this a ton of times with a ton of different people, so I apologize if any of this is the same information. But the first thing I want to talk about is how these drones seem to not have any radio frequency coming off of them. What does that mean? That means that it's not using technology that we rely on in order to, for the most part, perform our defense capabilities. Radio frequencies. So, again, I was in the Navy, worked on aircraft, both helicopter and fixed wing. The military and the civilian world, my cat is climbing up on my stuff over there, uses this program or this system called IFF. It stands for Identify Friend or Foe. And basically, it's a hey you, it's me system. And what that means is it sends out a ping and it waits for a reply. So when this system kicks back to the requester, you have a requester, you have an answer, and then you have an interrogation portion of it. So the requester sends out the request, the answer sends out an answer, and then you have the interrogator that takes that answer and determines whether or not this is a friend or a foe. Now, each one of these is specialized depending on the country, the purpose, civilian, military, branches of military, government agencies, everything, even down to the mission that it's performing. Most civilian aircraft are immediately identified as civilian aircraft. And some of the bigger drones, the ones that are FAA regulated, not your little ones that are bought off Amazon for $80. I'm not talking about those. But the bigger ones all should have this IFF system. And this IFF system, the way that it communicates is through radio frequencies. Now, without the use of radio frequencies, one, we don't know how they're communicating with each other. We don't know how they're controlled. But we cannot track them by means of our typical technology. And we cannot perform what's called a jamming technique, meaning we can't isolate them from the other drones and we can't knock them out of the air with our jamming weapons. So they're up there and we really can't do anything about it. So that adds another layer to what we talked about last week of them possibly being our drones looking for something. So with the fact that these have no radio frequencies coming off of them, we're not talking about all of them because there are some civilian drones up there. We have a lot of copycats going on right now. But the ones that are legitimately a concern do not have these radio frequencies, which most likely means that they are a government or military entity. Now, the scary thing here is the chairman of foreign affairs officer. I don't know his name. I didn't get his name, but whoever they may be has come out and put it on record that they believe that this whole thing is China. So why is that a concern? Well, our big adversaries through the history of my lifetime have always been countries in the Middle East, Russia, China, and North Korea. China being one of the countries with the most capability right next to Russia and to a slightly lesser sense, North Korea. And with the rapid increase of nuclear weaponry in countries like Iran and others in the Middle East, the fields are starting to get leveled out. But to stay on China, there was one thing that was pretty interesting about the chairman coming out and saying that he believes it's China. A while back, I would say a year and a half ago, we started getting a lot of news about the Chinese government, Chinese civilians, and Chinese corporations buying up a ton of farmland here in the United States. Now, this chairman had some really interesting evidence here, and they brought up a map. Let me see if I can't bring this up too while we're talking. Chinese-owned farmland in the U.S. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll share the screen with it. And, we've got a couple different maps that show varying information, so you don't have a true consistency here. But the gist is, when you look at the hot points, like right here in this one, where you're looking at North Carolina, Virginia, up through, looks like it stops right at the southern tip of Maryland. You have the southwestern corner of California. You got San Diego, Los Angeles. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. You have Tampa Bay, Orlando, Jacksonville area down here by Miami-Dade. And then you have some maps that are showing, Texas and various parts of Wisconsin and Minnesota. I'm assuming that would be the Twin Cities where I have my cursor right now. And then you have another map that they brought up where they said the most common sightings are near military bases in the states. The sightings of the drones are near military bases in the states of New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, Minnesota, and California. So these three pieces of information: 1, where are the drones most being seen? 2, where are the areas of the country where the Chinese are buying up land for farming, quote unquote farming? And where are the military bases that are close to where these where both of these data points are.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
They all correlate, okay? Wherever there's drones being seen in abnormal amount in the skies, you're also close to a military base, and you're close to where a large portion of land has been purchased by Chinese-owned. I've seen multiple sources say government. I've also seen, business tech side of things. I mean, there's so many different entities in China that seem to be claiming or claimed to have bought land here in the United States. It just happens to be around military land and where these drones are being seen the most. Now, it does seem that there is a bit of one-sided reporting in the Chinese theory, and that seems to be coming from conservative news. So I did see it pop up on CNN. I don't go to CNN, Fox, MSNBC for things, but every once in a while when I get wind of something, I like to go see what's being said about it to the masses, because I don't like to get my news from mainstream media. If you know anything about me and about the people that I talk with regularly, there's a clear reason why we don't, and I don't trust them, and I think most of it is propaganda, and everything is a play that they want us to follow the script on. So you take these issues that we're seeing now, like, for example, the drones, and you have to take in all the information, right? Go to TikTok, go to Twitter or X, go to Fox, CNN, other chat boards, Reddit, everything. Gather as much information as you can. Find out what the common details are, because the problem is that TikTok, Twitter or X, Facebook, you have a lot of people out there that are just trying to fish for clicks. And the problem with that is that you're getting a lot of fake stuff. You're getting a lot of CGI or AI created images, and people are spreading those around like wildfire, claiming that these things are over their houses in, bumfuck nowhere, Nebraska. Now, could they be? Yes, they could be. And as far as I can tell, there has been a ton of reports from every state in the United States, minus that of Alaska and Hawaii, which I just honestly don't know about. But the gist is you have to do your own research. Okay, you have to be able to take all of the information and be able to sift through it and create your own storyline and understanding of what's going on. I highly, highly recommend not using one source and saying that is the answer. It doesn't work that way, guys. Okay. The world that you live in right now does not allow for that to be the case. That's why I will go to sources like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, because it is important to get all sides of everything. And when you come up with videos on Twitter or X or TikTok, and people are claiming now, the big claim is that it's the Chinese and they're launching these drones from their private farmlands that they've been buying up throughout the years that just so happen to be next to military establishments. Then you go over to the mainstream media and you say, okay, well, let's see what the mainstream media has to say about this particular theory. Then you have conservative media like Fox, or conservative, quote unquote, media like Fox. They're all over it. They're talking about it. They're like, yeah, it's the Chinese, 100%. This is that foreign affairs officer chairman guy who believes that this is what's going on. But then you go over to CNN, NBC, and nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can't find it on their website. Can't find nothing. So could this be a political twist? Possibly, right? You know, we have the changeover of the president coming up here soon, January 20th. Could there be, sinister puppet masters behind creating some sort of hatred between the United States population and the country of China? Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's that saying, don't ever let geez, I can't think of the words. Drawing a blank, guys. No. Don't ever let a good blank go to waste. I'll have to edit this so I don't sound stupid. Crisis. You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. Okay, so this could be some puppet master back there using the drone scare that's going on right now as a way to increase tension between the United States and China, because you got to remember, war has always been a kickstarter of the economy. Could this be somebody's way of trying to get that moving along? I don't know, maybe. Before I move on to the other notes that I have, we'll take a step to go to the chat. It's been a minute. Let's see. Yep. So Skeeter is right. Supposedly some run off other ways that don't run off radio signals. That's true. 100%. There are other technologies out there. Most of it. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna dive into that. So I do have an NDA that's still active with the United States Navy, and I'm not going to talk about that. There are sources out there talking about it, though. So by all means, I was just watching a YouTube video earlier today, and people were talking about alternate ways of communication outside of radio frequencies. So it does exist. It does exist. Let's see here. We're safe in Wisconsin. I hope so. The map's wrong about Wisconsin. Look, Jeff was in here. Go to bed. You go to bed. Don't need the men in black showing up at the door. Bring them. I'll talk to them. We'll get this figured out. Let's see here. All right. Let's move on. So one piece that I did not cover last time, and we're going to be, again, a little behind here. It's going to take us a little time to catch up with all the recent news if we're going to keep doing these lunch break episodes. But the New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew said that it was given to him from high informational sources that the drones are coming from an Iranian mothership off the Atlantic coast. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not, to be honest with you. I think it would be hard to believe that our Navy's not tracking something off of the Atlantic coast, especially by Jersey, especially since Norfolk, the world's largest Navy base out of any country, any Navy in the world, is just a few clicks down from there. Highly, highly doubt that there is a mothership parked off the coast of the Atlantic coast or the Atlantic shore. So let's get back into why the drones could be here. So it would seem that they're either here for surveying or searching. Now, either way, this does sound like it's an informational thing, right? Somebody needs some sort of information, whether it be mapping information, intelligence, or other forms of intelligence. Maybe they're listening to our conversations. Maybe it's tough, right? Somebody's looking for something, but they're not just up there doing nothing. And speaking of them being up there, there's two other bits that I want to talk about too. I want to correct something that seems to have been incorrect from the last time. And I was reporting that most, if not all, these drones had the green, red port starboard lights, directional flight lights. But it seems that the ones that are actually in question have blue-green lights, not red-green lights, which is, I don't know. That's interesting. I just learned about this, and this is what a lot of people are using to to determine what is real and what is not. So you have the people in Jersey and in other states now, such as Southern California, Florida, Minnesota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and various other states in the Northeast clustered around New Jersey that are seeing these things in person above their houses, above their places of employment, above their towns, and they're going to social media and watching videos of other people's drones in their neck of the woods and comparing it to what they're seeing live with their own eyes. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of the people in these clustered areas are reporting that you can easily spot somebody flying a civilian drone, because the civilian drones have the green-red coloring to their directional lights, whereas these drones that are in question typically will have green-blue. Those are the weird ones. Those are the ones that many are reporting that sound like jet planes but are tiny, and they're, instead of moving at 100 or hundreds of miles per hour, they're moving at 20, but they sound like they're just flying through. Let's see, chat just lit up. Blue green could mean it's interdimensional or from another universe. Maybe. I don't know the FAA regulations and the multiverse. Could be. I have no idea. But I thought that was interesting. And then another thing too is that there has also been many points made by multiple sources that it seems that these things are in the air for much longer than what I had originally put out during an episode on Infinite Rabbit Hole, where I was talking about how the initial reports were claiming that these things were in the air from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. daily. So now we have more information, and we have people who have been tracking particular drones for upwards 10 to 12 hours. Now, the majority of these things are seen at night. That's true. And when the sun comes up, they seem to dissipate or, go to wherever they're from. But these things are staying up for an obnoxious amount of time. Now, for the size of these things, if you think of the possibilities for power, right? You have fuel and you have electric. So combustion and electric. Now, if you go with a combustion engine, the fuel reserves for something like that to last 10, 12 hours is bigger than the machine itself. Then you go into charging. I mean, shoot, if I sat there and played on my phone for 2 hours straight, my phone would die, right? These things are, often actually, they're moving, right? They have propulsion. So the fuel economy has to be pretty crazy. It needs to use energy. It needs to use something to be able to create that propulsion. These things aren't stagnant. And in fact, it has also been found that these things seem to be flying in a grid-like pattern most of the time. Now, the grids aren't parallel between multiple drones. So let's say if you look up in the sky and you see 3 of them, most of the times they're not all moving in the same grid-like pattern, but they are moving in a grid pattern, intercrossing each other. This just goes to show that, yes, they're looking for something. I am 100% convinced that they are looking for something. And I'll get more into that here in a little bit. Another bit that's an interesting fact, and you can find this on any source whatsoever. Everybody's talking about this. On December 2nd, missing radioactive material was discovered missing. Radioactive material was discovered missing from a train shipping container that, when it got to its final destination, was found to be damaged and empty. Now, the radioactive material that they're reporting that is missing are these little rods, the size of your finger, a little thinner, about half the thickness of a finger, but as long as a finger, that they use in machines like MRI machines and other imagery machines. Now, is that what's actually missing? I don't know. Is it a coincidence that the reporting agency is from Jersey and that's where the final destination was for these supposed radioactive material medical rods? I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. Are they connected with the drones? I don't know. I think that it's something that you got to keep in the back of your mind. Also, you also got to kind of think that this might be one of those situations where there's a little bit of truth in it, but it's not the whole truth. Like, they're looking for something, but they are using the excuse of medical rods to not cause panic in the population. And I think that's a big thing, a big factor in what's going on with these drones right now. But we'll get into that here right at the end in just a few more minutes. President-elect Trump has briefed the media, and during questioning the other day, says that the government knows what they are, and that he will be
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
canceling a trip to New Jersey, to one of his properties in New Jersey, probably the golf course. I don't know for sure, but he'll be canceling it this weekend. So why? That's interesting. I think that's very interesting. He obviously gets intelligence briefings still, or not just still, but I mean, he is the oncoming president. So they have to catch him up on everything that's happened in the last 4 years. So he is actively being given these intelligence briefings. So he does know. I would say that if he's saying that the military knows what these are, you would think they might know what they are. And if he's not going to New Jersey this weekend, obviously there's a reason for it. Could there be something happening this weekend? Again, not trying to create fear, but I think it's something that we need to kind of understand as a possibility, especially since the FAA issued a flight ban over parts of New Jersey, and specifically parts of New Jersey that have been frequently visited by these drones for the entire weekend. And apparently there's other areas that are also frequently visited by drones, other states that are jostling to get this ban as well, including New York and Southern California. One interesting bit about this is that the FAA specifically used the words deadly force can be used against people who are breaking this law or rule this weekend. One, Trump says that the military knows what they are. Trump also said that he is not going to New Jersey this weekend. He's canceling plans. Then the FAA comes out and drops a ban on drones in areas of New Jersey. Let's see. FAA ban on drones. Let's see what we got here. Bring it up. Boom, 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 boom. And let me share with you guys. Share the screen. FAA ban. There we go. As you can see right here, ABC Philadelphia, FAA temporarily bans drones in parts of New Jersey amid sightings. Notice, someone's calling me. Notice threatens deadly force for imminent security threat. U.S. temporarily bans drones in parts of New Jersey and New York. Okay, that was 14 hours ago. So it looks like New York may have squeezed its way in there too. Last thing I heard was California was also going to try to get into that. New York governor announces temporary ban on flights over critical infrastructure amid drone sightings. FAA bans drones over several New Jersey towns, New York infrastructure sites. That's a key word when it comes to these drones as of lately is infrastructure. Now, another person, different source other than this foreign affairs officer who brought up the map of farmland purchased by Chinese entities, military installations, and drone clusters being spotted throughout the United States. Another source said or had maps of major infrastructure where these drones are around. So things like dams, bridges, subway systems, that kind of stuff. It seems that where they're being seen, there's major pieces of infrastructure. Now, I mean, the first thing that I thought about when this guy was trying to explain this, but this seems to be a key term being passed around by the mainstream media right now. There's infrastructure everywhere. So, I mean, if there's clusters of drones in northern New Jersey or Southern California, or even here in the bumfuck middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, there's infrastructure. I live right next to a bridge. I think that if this is an angle that they're going to push, then proof of what infrastructure they're talking about needs to be made clear, and we need to see some real issues with this being a threat. Anyways, the gist of what I'm seeing right now is that it seems that there's a push lately for scare tactics. Okay. A lot of people are trying to push the fact that you should be scared right now. And, I'm not dolling it up for anybody. I think that there is reason to be cautious, right? I don't think you should ruin your weekend or freak out and move to another country or anything like that. But I think that, like I said before, you prepare for the worst and hope for the best in every occasion. And I think that these drones are one of those, right? Now, if we get into my personal theories again, with the added information that we talked about today, on top of the stuff that we added in the first episode of the lunch break, I would say that I'm still on board with both of my theories from the first episode. I think that we very well could be seeing the United States government controlling these drones for a few different reasons. The one that really sticks out to me is that they're looking for something. And I've seen so many people go one way or the other with this. And the fact of the matter is you got to be careful with the information that you consume. You have to be, okay? A lot of people are quoting the podcast right now because they had a person on who works in the CIA. So I think her name's Amy Adams or something along those lines. And then even the Joe Rogan podcast had Ryan Graves on, a military fighter pilot, actually F-18 fighter pilot, was stationed in Oceana, Virginia, which is the base right next to where Jake and I were stationed at in Norfolk. A lot of these people are claiming that no, this is not the military because they would know, right? They would know better. They would know this. And then you see that this is all getting parroted throughout social media. And now everyone, started off this way. And now just because two people on two podcasts are saying no, they're all going, no, it's not. Can't be that. So you get a lot of people that are going back to the idea that this is alien beings or interdimensional species or a hidden civilization here on Earth under the water. I beg you, you got to understand is that the major media outlets, and I'm not saying anything about Joe Rogan, I'm not saying anything about the Sean Ryan show. I think they both do really good shows, but you can't let one person sway your opinions. You have to take the information that you're seeing, decipher it yourself. And I'm still on board. If I'm seeing that there are drones in the sky, that they are working in a grid-like pattern, that our military is not shooting them down, it sounds like they're ours. I'm sorry. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, our military didn't shoot down that Chinese spy balloon that hung over the United States for a week as it drifted from the West Coast to the East Coast and eventually got shot down in South Carolina. A couple things that you want to think about there. One, apparently the U.S. military had taken that week to gather a ton of intelligence from that spy balloon. They were able to hack into it, download a ton of information off of it. And that could be something that we're seeing right now too. The military could be letting these things fly around to let them show their hand. Now, that's, of course, against what I was just saying, where I said I do think that this is the U.S. military's. But with all the stuff that's coming out now, especially, you know, the Chinese stuff. I'm not 100% sure on it yet. I gotta kind of see how, you know, more things unfold here, but looking at it as a possibility, I think it's definitely within the U.S. playing cards and our capabilities to let these things fly around so that we can monitor them, watch what they're doing, and get a better idea of what it is they are and why they're here. Shooting them down, shooting 1, 2, 3, 4 of these things down may just make anybody who's actually flying these things around pull all of them out of our skies. And a lot of people are like, yeah, that's what we want them to do. We don't want them here. Correct. But if this is a threat from an adversary, a China, Russia, or Middle East, or North Korea, we need to know why they're here. And if the U.S. military is taking this time to gather information from any way that they possibly can, then we may be doing the right thing. And now that the FAA has come out and said that, you know, the areas of New Jersey, which have been heavily populated by these drones, are now do not fly areas for the weekend, and they'll be met with deadly force, we may actually know a bit about them now. We may know what they're here for. And our government may now be like, yeah, we don't want these fucking things here. So if we see them, we're going to fucking shoot them down. I think we're up for a pretty interesting weekend here, everybody. I think that this is going to be a pretty interesting weekend. I, myself, will definitely be watching TikTok and Twitter. I know. And then, of course, I'll be watching the mainstream media and monitoring chat rooms and Reddit and stuff and see what the buzz is about and try to paint my own picture to come and report to you guys, as well as looking up what the fuck is going on with this Willow chip. I need to know, man. I need to know. That thing blows my mind. I love quantum physics. Absolutely love it. I got a whole section of books right here on time and space events, quantum physics, physics mysteries, all kinds of stuff back there for it. So the chip is very interesting to me. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else. Tina's CBS has Pentagon briefings about the drones. Yes, there is a briefing going on right now. I was actually watching it on YouTube before we started this, and I was this close to postponing this so I can watch that. But then I saw it was Homeboy, whoever that is, whoever that spokesperson is that they have, seems to be an asshole. But I know that many different sources are going to have that rerunning on YouTube and Twitter and everything. So I'll just kind of check that out. I do want to see what they say at least. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. We've had quite a bit of people in here today. Not a lot of talkers. We had Skeeter, Jeff, and Tina's. Thank you for contributing to the chat. Again, if you listened at first and I didn't have a microphone near my face, I apologize. I've only been doing this for 4.5 years now, and you would think I would know better about having the microphone in front of my face. But that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for coming out to the second episode of the Infinite Rabbit Hole Presents Lunch Break. And I hope to see you guys next time. I don't know when. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tonight. I don't know. I think there's always a possibility of us going live again tonight. We'll see. I'm just going to do this whenever I want to. But I got to go and get the stuff uploaded to Spotify so others can hear it. The first one was extremely popular. So hopefully people like this kind of format. You guys get to hear me stumble over my words like an idiot. But that's it. Thanks, everybody. Bye now. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out the Infinite Rabbit Hole podcast. If you're looking for more of our stuff, head on over to infiniterabbithole.com, where you can find links to all the podcast players that we are available on, and even our video platforms such as TikTok and YouTube. While you're there, make sure to check out all the links for our socials and hit that follow so you know when all the new stuff from our podcast comes out. And until next time, travelers, we'll see you right here in the next fork in the path of the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Goodbye.